Hello everyone, welcome to the NyesWorld podcast. Today we are here with another episode and we have an outstanding individual on the show. His name is Samuel and he is the owner of WeSourceProducts, a global manufacturer. Everyone, I want you to say hello to the one and only Samuel.
How are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm perfectly fine. How have you been?
I've been good. Thank you for inviting me here.
Oh, most definitely. We've been trying to hunt you down to get you on the show. I'm not going to lie. Been a really important person. Really today, we just want to get to know more about you, about the nature of your business, and obviously how you got to where you are today. Most definitely. So the first question I'm going to fire at you now is tell me about your whole journey of creating WeSourceProducts.
Good question. So I think it started really when I was in university. So I studied economics and finance, and I always had a passion for business, making money, sort of finding people who have a need and selling something to them. And once I graduated, I thought, you know what, there's a lot of people who study economics and finance. A lot of people want to go into banking. What can I do to kind of separate myself and make sure that I'm sort of different from the rest?
Yeah.
And something came to mind, which was, you know what, you should study a language. So I went through quite a few languages. I said, you know what, German, a lot of people speak. Portuguese, we've got a lot of people that speak that.
Yeah.
Why not think about something that's sort of interesting? Not that many people sort of speak that language. And the language that came to me was Chinese.
Chinese?
That's correct. That's correct.
So are you telling me you're fluent in Mandarin?
Shoulda.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So how did this all start then? So obviously you started learning a new language. Did you start sourcing from that country? Was that your main country?
No, so it started from me wanting to learn the language to have an opportunity to move to Taiwan. So I was there for voluntary work. I did some voluntary work for organization.
Yeah.
And that really enabled me to kind of learn the language, be exposed to the culture.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I said, you know what? I've got the business ideas. I've got the language skills. Let me just put the two together and see what comes out of it. And so I had the opportunity to go to China.
Yeah.
And that's where everything sort of started for us.
So when you was in China, what part of China was you in?
So I was in the south. So that was Dongguan. So it's not
Ooh.
far from Shenzhen.
Yeah.
It's a couple of hours from Hong Kong.
I know about China. Again, I was there for about a year because obviously when I was out there sourcing products as well. But I was in West Nanjing, so Shanghai.
Yeah.
But I didn't learn the Mandarin. It was very hard. I'm not gonna lie.
It is, but it's a beneficial language to have.
Most definitely. Like I'm not gonna lie. Even being a black person speaking Chinese, I think that's absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I'll give you that 100%. But one thing we really want to know about is, I know creating this business, like obviously as you're such a global manufacturer, I know you must come across a lot of challenges. So what's been the real challenges and like the trials and tribulations you've gone through in your whole career of obviously setting this up?
I think one of the challenges that I think a lot of people can relate to is COVID. Ooh. Right? So once we were manufacturing products for a lot of brands, what we realized was COVID hit, and that put a real sort of question mark on the nature of the business and the viability of the business. So we said, you know what, we're operating in China already.
Yeah.
China's always going to be a place we're going to operate. But what we need to do is we need to diversify our business. And so we opened up a factory in Pakistan, and that allowed us to kind of work with the supply chain in Pakistan as well as China. And so having those two with the UK as well, it's really helped us a lot. It's helped us to kind of see where the weaknesses in our businesses, but also how do you improve on that and how do you make sure that that doesn't happen again?
Do you know, like even listening to you speak right now, like you're a young person and you're speaking like a man who's had years of knowledge, almost like a man who's in his 40s.
No.
So like, again, even opening up multiple factories, like this is not an easy task to do. How did you build that network to do such a thing?
So the first place I went to, so when we started the business, the first place I went to was a factory in Dongguan.
Yeah.
So before we started the business, I worked for a factory, and I was a printing and packaging factory. So they did products for Disney, Walmart, QVC, HSN, a lot of big brands. And it gave me exposure to understand why people are manufacturing there, but also understand the reasons that people kind of face. And that is not being able to speak the language or speak it to factories directly. You've got communication issues, you've got language barriers, you've got time differences as well. And so having someone who spoke the language, lives over there and understands the best of the West as well as the East, it just makes sense to open up a business.
That's excellent. One thing I would really like to know, obviously, because you're a Westerner, so obviously to the Chinese, I can imagine they must inflate their prices. Like obviously when they, like at the beginning, I would say they must have inflated their prices to you, isn't it? But now you know how to speak Chinese, I can imagine they deal with you different. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think one of the things you've got to understand in the business, you have to understand your strengths and weaknesses. And so I'm never going to be able to speak like a native.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to getting prices, it comes to understanding what the true issues are. or what the true costs are, I just leave that with my team.
They leave
Have
the
them
team.
code it out, give it back to me. I can review it and then present it over to our clients.
That's absolutely excellent. When it comes to your team, like you just mentioned, like when you first started, was you just solo? But
When I first started, it was just me on the rodeo. It was just myself.
just yourself.
It was just myself.
And so what age did you start this?
So I started this at 27.
Goodness me. And now it's obviously gone global.
It's
in a
gone.
matter
It's
of
gone
years.
global. Yeah. So we started at 27, and I was literally just flying from China to America, finding clients to work with.
Yeah.
We'll go to trade shows. We'll go through our networks and find out who's sort of manufacturing in China. And once we did that, we kind of felt that, you know what, if we do this a bit more, there's a market in this. There's
Yeah.
people who actually need our help. And so that's where it kind of grew out from just a one-man band to a team in many locations.
People, you see this guy here? This is a serious man. This is a very serious man. Young people out there, if you want to start your brands, you need to speak to this man because he's still young and he's already accomplished this, which is, I think, is absolutely phenomenal. But I know obviously you're speaking about the manufacturing. What products do you mainly like manufacture? Is it just like specific materials? Or
So with WeSourceProducts, it's mostly apparel.
Okay.
So that's for streetwear brands such as your hoodies, your t-shirts. You've got swimwear, activewear, cargos. So that's the apparel element.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we also manufacture and source products for businesses in China. So let's say, for example, you're an established business, you have maybe an e-commerce site or maybe doing things on Amazon and need a bit of support from China.
Yeah.
That's where our team come in. We kind of understand the supply chain process. We kind of look at the weak points and then we kind of advise what to do, how to get prices down, how to get lead times quicker.
Yeah.
And then we execute.
So how do you build your traffic as well? Like again, so when it comes to your actual leads, is it all done like through social media or do you have, like run campaigns?
It's a combination of both. So you've got your online, you've got your offline. So for online, we're obviously looking at social media, such as Instagram as well as TikTok. And then for offline, it's trade shows, it's working for your networks, it's just literally hard graft, sort of working with clients and figuring out who needs help.
Yeah.
And always asking that question, which is, I understand that this service has helped you.
Yeah.
Who do you think could benefit from the service? And you just open up a conversation like that.
It's excellent. So when it comes to your actual client portfolio, like who's some of the big names you've got on your actual portfolio?
So as I mentioned before, so we've got some clients that obviously I can't disclose because they're on the NASDAQ.
I understand you,
stock
don't worry.
exchange. So we've got clients that are on the stock exchange. In addition to that, as I mentioned before, we've got QVC, we've worked with HSN, we've done products with Walmart, we've done products with Michaels, and the list kind of goes on.
The list goes on. Yeah, this is powerful. This is absolutely powerful. Such a young age to obviously experience so much. Like I think it's very touching, especially for young people, because I know a lot of people want to start their brands, but they don't know what to do. They don't know where to go. And obviously you cracking this industry, it's an amazing accomplishment, like especially to the level you've scaled it to as well.
I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't have a mentor. So for a lot of people who want to start a business, I think one of the things that they should do, you may not want to do it at the start, or you may not have the opportunities to do it from the start.
Yeah.
But it's to find someone in the industry that's killed it.
Is that what you did?
Killed it, and that's what I did. So I was kind of brought into the industry through a good friend that I know that now has become my mentor. And he's been able to show me a lot of things. He's been able to teach me a lot of things that's been valuable to the business. And so whatever sort of business you're trying to create, just have someone who's aware of the industry. So when you have problems, you have sort of hiccups, you can go to someone who has experience, who's been in your position before, and then you can start saying, okay, I've done this. What do you think about this? Or what do you think about this? Do you think this is a good plan? What do you think I should change? What do you think we should stay? And those would be things that you can have good conversations with versus, you're asking your friend and he doesn't know anything about the business and he's kind of providing the best information he can, but it may not be the best thing for you. So that's what I would suggest.
What you just said there, like I really have to highlight, you said mentorship. And I've noticed a lot of people nowadays, they don't really look for mentorship. They think they can just do it themselves. Like they can just do, like they haven't even got the knowledge, but yet they'll want to take on a challenge themselves. So when it came to you finding this mentorship, like I know you say it was a friend, did you have to pay them? Like, because people say knowledge isn't free. Or did this person completely just bring you in and just show you the ropes?
So even before I answer that question, I think just the whole element of mentorship, I think a lot of people may not have access or may think they don't have access to a mentor. But I think if you are out there, you're proactive, and you're looking for people who know something about your industry, they don't initially have to become a mentor for you. You can ask a question, which is, I'm looking to develop this product in the market. From your experience, do you think it's something that's good?
Yeah.
And they could say, well, it could be, maybe you need to do a bit of research, or it's totally bad. And then from there, you can develop the relationship. It's not just about taking and taking and taking. You've got to understand, okay, it's a give and take.
Okay.
You've got to add value to them. They've got to add value to you. Otherwise, it's going to be a situation where you're always asking. And it gets to a point where people may say, you know what? I'm tired.
I understand you with that 100%.
But to answer the question, I think what I would suggest with regards to finding a mentor is just look for people that are killing it in the industry.
Yeah.
And you may not be able to have a direct relationship with them at the start. It may just be you're reading things that they've said,
Yeah.
or you're watching things that they've done, or you're going to an event that they're speaking at, and just understanding what they're saying. And then maybe from there, you can potentially reach out to them or reach out to a friend of a friend. It's all about networking, right? And so you have to be able to be open to find someone that knows what they're doing. It may not be the person that you want, or it may not be the person that you're looking out for, but they're going to know more than you.
Yeah.
They're going to have experience that is way beyond your capacities and your capabilities. And so just find out what is available, utilize what's available, and then continue to grow it from there.
You know what? That mindset is what you call powerful and very strong. And I can understand having this type of mindset. Why have you got it? Like, what's giving you this drive to obviously scale your business, to make you want to go to the next level? Because again, a lot of people want to be entrepreneurs, but they're not really good at entrepreneurship. But with you, you know what you're doing. So why are you like this? Is it because, let's say, you have a family member like your father? Was he a businessman as well? Or is this because you just want a better value of life?
I think there's a lot of things that kind of contribute to business and the way I've sort of grown what we've done. I think definitely my dad did play a role.
Yeah.
So my dad actually runs an accountancy firm.
Ooh.
He also ran a cleaning company as well.
Yeah.
And that was cleaning for like Premier League football clubs at the time. So we've always been exposed to my dad running the business and sort of just been exposed to that. I think secondly, I'm originally from Nigeria.
Ooh, the Nigerians.
And so we had that sort of like competitive sort of energy where we
Yeah.
want to kind of go out and do business and what have you. But I think more importantly, it's also about the people that I've admired. A lot of them that I admire and look up to, they've all ran businesses. And it's not to say that I'm trying to get there because they've made money, but I've just seen how they operate. I've seen how they look after their family. I've seen how they've been able to do things, whether it's like charity work or other stuff that may be hard if you don't have a business. I'm not saying that you have to have a business to do those things, but what I'm saying is that I've seen the people who've done it, and I've really admired what they've done, and it motivated me to kind of create my own business.
See that motivation, people? That's what you call powerful right there. Absolutely powerful. And I see what you're saying right now, because a lot of people, obviously, like I said before, they want to be entrepreneurs, but they don't really have that real drive. They just want to get rich quick, sort of thing. But I notice, speaking to a lot of obviously successful people, they've always got a hidden drive behind them. For example, like with myself, I've always wanted to look after my mother. You get what I mean? Always wanted to retire my mother. Always wanted just to control things, so like financially for my mother. So that's one reason why I'm like, you know what? I need to keep scaling my business. I need to keep doing good. I need to keep improving. I need to make more money. And that's what I really understand. But from your side, that's powerful. That is absolutely powerful.
It is. You just reminded me of a guy that I look up to. His name is Les Brown.
Yes.
And he talks about this bamboo tree, right? And he says the bamboo tree, basically in the span of 5 years, the first couple of years it doesn't grow. But in the last year, it grows at a phenomenal rate. And the point he's making is, does the business grow in the first year, or does the business grow in the 5th year? And the point he was making was, look, the business grows from the start. And what normally happens is, as business owners, we kind of think, you know what, if I make a business today, I'm going to make money today, I'm going to grow the business today, and it's going to be great. But sometimes you have to wait 5 years for the business to actually bear some fruit. And so just to kind of go back to what you were saying, I think, especially our generation, we kind of like be realistic and say, you know what, there are some businesses that they set up today and they make money today. But the majority, you set up today and it's going to take a few years for it to kick off. And so just be aware of that before you start a business.
It's 100% true. Like even people starting business, like the ratio, like when it comes to percentage of companies actually progressing and then companies failing, like probably 3/4 of startups fail. That's because everyone goes into it thinking that they'll make money overnight, but yet they don't understand the overheads. They don't understand all the different investments they need to invest into, and it's quite a lot.
It is.
But with business, again, I think if you really structure it right, you'll be perfectly fine to go.
Yeah.
But back to obviously you and your business now. Sorry, I
Yep.
kind of strayed
No,
off.
no,
you
no,
know,
no, you're good. You're good. You're good.
I really want to know, obviously, on your whole journey, what's like your biggest achievements, like for when it comes to resource products?
I think one of the biggest achievements, if I'm going to be honest with you, is actually opening up a factory in Pakistan. That's probably been one of the biggest achievements that we've accomplished so far. And the reason why I say that is because we initially, when the business started, we was initially working with factories in Pakistan.
Yeah.
So we was, let's say, for example, an agency or quote unquote a middleman. So we'll receive the order, we'll give it to our partners in Pakistan, and then they will then facilitate the order. But what we understood was that with supply chain, you're always going to be relying on somebody else. And we wanted to kind of shorten that process so that, let's say, for example, there's an issue at this factory that they can't control. If we own the factory, we can obviously control it. It's not to say that the issue is going to be resolved, but we can control it in-house.
Yeah.
Versus relying on somebody else to kind of control it. And you know what? They don't have the same energy as you. They don't have the same sort of eagerness to get things done. And so being able to sort of open up the factory, bring people in, have them operate, and then being able to service the clients better has been, it's been wonderful. It's been amazing.
To open a factory, Samuel, like that is outstanding. Like that is another level. Like even when I source my products, I'm always contacting different factories. Like having the idea of knowing that you actually control your own factory, that's another level. But I know doing this, it was not easy. Like what was the whole process for this? How long did it take to even get to this level to open your own factory?
We posted on our social media page the process. So we actually got in so we arrived at Pakistan.
Yeah.
We had our country manager look and scout for a few places that we could potentially rent. So we found a spot and we said, you know what, we can potentially build this up and get it sorted out in like a couple of weeks. And we realized, you know what, we can get this done in a week.
Yeah.
And so we built in all of the machinery, we got in lighting, we got in all those different things and that's been able to sort of help us and help the community as well, build up people there that have, not that much opportunity. And so it's also helped them as well.
Yeah.
Provide for their families, just sort of have more opportunities to do better in their area. So it's benefited us, but it's also benefited people there as well.
Yeah.
And we pay these guys very well compared to what other people are paying them. So it's not to say that we're sort of
using people.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So with obviously, because I know you're saying you're helping people in the communities out there and things like that. What is your future projection as well? I know you're a Nigerian as well, and I know about the Nigerians. Nigerians are very into their culture. They help their people, etc. Are you looking to expand maybe into Africa for when it comes to factories in the future? What's on your What's your?
It's an interesting. You know what? It's the interesting thing you said that because when we first opened up in Pakistan, obviously we blog everything. That's the way of marketing right now.
Yeah.
You are transparent and you show people the process. And so once we opened up Pakistan, we got so many comments, which is, you're black, why didn't you open up in Africa, open up in your hometown, open up in all these areas? And I thought, you know what? These are very good points.
Yeah.
But what you have to understand is, okay, let's understand where the mills are.
Ooh, very good.
Let's understand how good the logistics are. Let's understand how good the infrastructure is. Let's understand the way of doing business, how easy it is to do business in these countries, or even bringing money in and out of the country. So these are things that you have to figure out first before you start saying, I want to open up a factory in this place.
Yeah.
And because Pakistan has been a place where manufacturing has been part of the country, it's a lot easier to go into something that's already been created versus going in first, creating it, spending a lot of money, and then you're not really sure if it's going to work out. So to answer the question, it definitely will be part of the long-term vision. Whether it's the next 5 to 10 years, we're not sure. But we definitely want to be able to help our brothers and sisters back home.
That's what I was going to say, because what you just said there, you said obviously receiving a lot of backlash online. Why you're not opening why you're not opening a factory in your own country, sorry. What was that like? That must have been overwhelming. Because you're the face of it. Like when I think of it, again, you're young, you're black, you're Nigerian. Opening factories in Pakistan, China, and you ain't done it in Nigeria. So I can imagine they must have been on you pretty heavy.
Yeah.
How did you get past that? Because I know that'll be a bit.
The thing is, you have to be able to, in business, you have to be able to have grit. You have to be able to sort of listen to people's feedback. I completely understand what they're saying, but one thing that I sort of resonate to is you have to be in the industry to understand what you need to do. You can't pivot. You have to be in the industry to know what you want to do. You can't pivot from outside the industry.
Heavy.
You have to be in the industry to pivot and say, okay, today we're going to be here in Pakistan. Tomorrow we're going to be here in China.
Yeah.
Maybe the next couple of years we're going to be in Nigeria. We're going to be in Ghana. We're going to be in South Africa.
Yeah.
But from the outside perspective is, oh, you just chose to open up in Pakistan versus going back and open up to our brothers and sisters in Africa. And so what I kind of normally do is I don't really take offense to it. It is what it is. You're never going to be able to please everybody. But I think the most important thing is that these are concerns that people are raising. And so we have to take that on board and say, okay, that may not have been in our plan. Is it possible to bring it into the plan? If it is, how are we going to get this done? Is it going to benefit the business? Because at the end of the day, it has to benefit the business.
Yeah.
And then we can start making plans and executing on those plans.
Like you just said there, if it benefits the business. So business and pleasure, you don't want to mix. Doesn't matter if you're black, white, blue, or Jewish. I would say go where the money is. And what you've done, great achievement. But for your actual business now, who's your actual target audience as well? Like, do you have a specific niche you're really trying to go for? Who is
So as I said before, we have two elements. So we have brands that are just starting out, and we've got established brands that we've been working servicing for some time. So for WeSourceProducts, it's mostly small brands. So brands that are sort of figuring out, oh, I'm looking for a factory. I'm not sure where to go. I need some help in terms of finding someone that can make my products. Yeah. So that's one element which we deal with. The other element is we're working with big brands as well. As I said before, I can't disclose too much, but we're also talking about Premier League football teams as well that we're working on at the moment. And so we have the ability to service both simply because we've got supply chains coming from China, supply chains coming from Pakistan. Yeah. We also have partners in other regions as well. And so between those locations, we can say, yeah, we can help on that project. We can help with this project as well. You don't have to be somebody who's making millions to be able to start a business. You can start with what you've got. We can create a plan for you, and then we can take it from there and sort of help you to kind of get designs made and get your samples done and start production.
You see what you just said there? You pretty much highlighted the capital you need to start a business. A lot of people think you need millions to grow like a huge company. Would you say that's true or not true? Or how would you say?
Let me answer that question with
be real with it as well.
Let me answer that question with an analogy, right? So if you're going to grow a plant, you need sun, you need air, and you need water.
Perfect. Right?
You need sufficient amount of all three. Let's say, for example, you don't have sufficient sun, you've got a decent amount of water, and then you've got a decent amount of oxygen. You can't really give that plant enough opportunity to grow.
True.
So the point I'm making is that there isn't an actual amount which is sort of reflective to the answer. It's relative. Yeah. You could say a small startup for you could put an investment of 100K. To somebody else, an investment could be 10 grand. Somebody else, an investment could be £100. Yeah. What I'm saying is that you have to look in the industry and see what other people have done. That information may or may not be available, but let's be honest. We know if you're spending £500 on trainers and then you're putting £100 in your business, you understand? You need to think about what you're doing. Like if you're doing a lot more in terms of your personal life, you're going on holidays, you're buying cars, like you're doing these sort of things, then use that same energy for your business as well. Put that same money into your business because although the holidays and cars are fun, they're liabilities, right? But that money you're putting in could be potentially an asset. It could be something that bears fruit that will give you stuff to buy your cars, to go on holidays, to buy your trainers, to live the lifestyle you want. So the point I'm making is there isn't an actual amount that I could say you need to put like 20 grand in to start a business. But I think most people know that the money they're putting in would be sort of reflective of how they can grow the business. So that's what I would say.
Obviously, when you're talking about the finance and pretty much what you said there, that really resonates with the young version of me, I'm not going to lie. Like when I was in university and I wanted to start a business, I would probably have about £1,000. I would probably spend about 800 on trainers. Yeah. And then £200, I'd be like, you know what, let me put that to my business. Then I'll go into the business mind. I'll be like, let me take £100 and go out. Stuff like that. So I've got 100 for the business now. And I understand you with that. And I think that's really how it is nowadays, especially with younger people who want to start business. They'll put their capital into liabilities, like things what's not really going to bring them any money, even though they want to get rich. And that's the real stumbling block, what I really face with a lot of clients nowadays, especially young Gen Z people. They all think the same. Like they want to put minimal into their business. It's almost like if you want to be healthy, you can spend £100 on good food, or you can go to a restaurant and spend £200, and they'll spend on a restaurant, and that's it. Yeah. And I think that's very bad, and I think that's obviously where people need to change their thoughts if they want to be successful.
So I learned a powerful principle in China.
Ooh,
right? So most people that own factories in China, They drive nice cars.
Mm-hmm.
They drive or wear nice watches, but you can never really tell because their clothing is basic. They're not wearing designers.
Yeah.
And so what I realized was that a lot of these people in China who are doing well, they actually wear basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They've got a massive factory where they probably own over maybe a couple machines that are worth like 5-10 million. They've got employees that are probably over 100 people.
Yeah.
But they're not out there stunting and, you know, wearing the latest T-shirts or the latest sort of stuff. Like even when you look at people that we know, like people that we know in the business world, they don't wear flashy stuff. It's mostly blanks. They wear maybe a blank top, or when I say blank, I'm talking about plain top.
Yeah.
Plain, maybe like jeans and standard trainers. And so if these guys who are making this sort of money are wearing this sort of stuff, why are we now thinking we have to be dripped out all the time?
Would you say that's the Western world though? That's the
I think it's expectations.
The expectations. Why do you think it's like that?
I think as business owners, we feel, you know, we have to put up a front to say my business is doing well. When it's okay to say, you know what, my business is like everybody else. It's not. There's going to be peaks and valleys. There's going to be times where it's going to be good, and there's going to be times where it's going to be bad. That's the nature of the business.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we have this sort of ideology that we have to portray a certain way and a certain lifestyle. Like I remember, like I've run a business for years. I've only just bought a car a year ago. And it wasn't because I couldn't afford one. It's because I was pumping money back into the business. I was using that on win new business. I was using that on investing in staff. I was using that on like purchasing a factory. So it's not that I couldn't divert that money to it, but I thought, you know what, a factory or a car, which one is actually gonna help me? So don't get me wrong, I didn't like it, but I knew that's what I had to do to kind of grow the business. And so you have to make these tough choices as a business owner.
Definitely. As a young business owner, I personally think when you're in your 20s, you should spend your 20s to grind.
Yeah.
So all your capital, like everything you focus on, should be about really developing your business. So then by the time you're in your 30s, you have more of a comfortable life. Because to be honest, a lot of people in their 30s, especially the young males, they're struggling. Like they don't even know what they're doing. They don't even know how to do it. So they're still thinking of what route to go down. But you saying, obviously, like, again, you're just getting your car recently because you're pumping all your money in your business. People, if you want to become successful, that's how you have to be. You really have to put your priorities first, and that is becoming successful. So you need to do the things you need to do to get to where you need to get to. So that's outstanding.
Yeah. To be fair, I would even say, like somebody said, like your 20s you learn, your 30s you grow, and then your 40s you kind of like gain and win all the things that you've done in the last 20 years. And so
repeat. Oh, sorry, people. Repeat that in the camera. Say that right there in the camera.
Learn, the 30s you grow, and then your 40s you reap all the things you've done over the last 20 years. So I feel like the earlier people start their business, the better. Unfortunately, not everyone has that opportunity to do so. Everyone's circumstances is different. That's fine.
Yeah.
But the earlier you start, the more opportunity you have to kind of fail, understand what you did, improve, and then learn from that as quick as possible to then move forward and actually obviously grow the business. So I think everyone should just start a business, man. Let's start a business, man. Let's get something started, because at the end of the day, we want to be able to control our lives. We want to be able to, you know, do things for our family, do things for people that we love.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that you can't do that at 9 to 5. There are opportunities where you can do that.
Yeah.
But I think with a business, you have more freedom. If you want to go on holiday today, you could say, I'm packing up my stuff and going on holiday.
There you go. Like, I can imagine you fly in and out all the time,
I'm
correct?
literally flying out after this podcast.
Excuse me?
I'm flying out after this podcast, yeah.
Where are you flying to?
So we've got a client that needs some stuff like very urgently in Washington. So we've got to fly out to China to collect the stuff, which is the samples, and then we fly out from China straight to Washington, deliver it to them, and I come back to the UK. And this is not something that, you know, we do on a day-to-day basis, but sometimes there are problems where you have to resolve, and you have to make sure that your integrity is still on the line. Yeah. And so I told the client, I said, look, come rain or shine, we'll make sure we give you your products at a time that we've obviously promised. And so it's a situation where I've got to fly out to China, collect it, and then send it over to Washington.
But still, that freeness, that must be such an amazing feeling to know you can fly in and out, because obviously you're the owner and you're the founder of your own business. Yeah. And I know you have to help your clients regardless, like, because again, customer satisfaction, that's one of the most important things. I can clearly imagine, like, if you ain't got happy customers, there's a lot of trouble.
Don't get me wrong, like we have a lot of customers that are happy with what we do, but you have to remember, we're still a small and growing business. Like when I say small, I'm talking in terms of like, there's still a lot of things that we need to do. Yeah. A lot of milestones that we need to hit. And so we're going to get things right, but we're also going to get things wrong as well. But I think the most important thing is that as a business owner, you're always looking to drive the business forward.
Yes.
You're going to be the person that's going to be working at hours where everyone else has literally gone out and had fun, they're partying, doing whatever. You're still there in the office typing away.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of keep it to the grind and just pushing the business as far as possible.
I can imagine with business and like obviously how it is, again, people think, okay, yeah, you can wake up when you want, you can start when you want, you can finish when you want. But in reality, with business, you're working 12 hours. You're working absolutely 12 hours, and you always have to come up with new projects, new ideas, new launches. Because again, you have to keep the audience engaged for whatever you're offering or whatever services you have. And if you don't do that, your business will fail. And what I've noticed ever since I started my business 4 years ago, I think I've accumulated about 6 grey hairs. That's the reality. 6 grey hairs in a matter of 4 years. My hair used to be all black, and now all of a sudden I'm getting grey hairs. But I understand that's because of business, and really the pressure it gives you, it's good pressure. I'm not gonna lie, it's not bad pressure, because obviously everyone wants to progress, so you know you need to put in the work. But I'm gonna have to start using hair dye. I thought about that, but still, yeah. So back to obviously WeSourceProducts now. How do you actually market? Like, how do you do everything? Do you just have like 1 and 2 socials, or?
So I take note, and I've got to give credit to Gary V. Gary V always mentions just be transparent.
Yeah.
Show people what you're doing on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
And so stuff like today, we're obviously talking about business, and so we could create that content, record what we're doing, record the process of actually getting to where we were to here.
Yeah.
Obviously showing the setup and stuff, and then heading back out again. That's literally one way. Another way is obviously the factory, which I mentioned before. Going out there, looking at factories, seeing which ones work, seeing which ones don't work, bringing the customers into what you're doing, like making them feel involved, making them feel like part of the group and part of like the family. And so I feel like transparency is really important. But I also think that it's about all the other stuff, which is being honest, being diligent, making sure that your clients are happy, serve them in the way that you would want to be served. Like, these are all like fundamental principles that we're taught from a young age. I'm hoping that we're being taught from a young age, but these are things that we expect.
Yeah.
And so why shouldn't we be doing these things at bare minimum? We should be doing these things as well. So I think whether you are able to start with one and then grow it, that's fine. But what I would suggest is you always listen to your haters in the business. Like, there's customers that are going to be hating on you. Oh, you didn't respond to my message. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Those are the people you should be listening to. Yeah. Because they're going to highlight the weakest part of your business to figure out what you could do to improve on it. So sometimes like all this negativity is not that bad. It's an opportunity for you to sort of pivot, as we said again, like think about how can we sort of deal with these issues, but bring them or turn them from weaknesses into strengths.
You know, one thing I really love about you, honestly, like even just speaking to you on here for not even too long, but just the way you are when it comes to your transparency and your honesty with business. Because I've spoke to a lot of business people who inflate things. They don't tell me the reality. And I remember when I first started business, I tried to get a mentor. He sold me a complete dream. Complete dream.
They tend to do that, don't they?
Yeah. He sold me a complete dream. You will get rich in a matter of months. Months down the line, paid for his course, he disappeared. Yeah. So obviously, that's one thing I really like about you, the transparency and your honesty, how it is with businesses and how you really listen to your customers. Because their customers' feedback is obviously how you improve your business going forward. And I really do like that.
Yeah, I think... don't get me wrong, like business, like creating a business is not easy. It's not easy, but it does bring in a lot of benefits. And so I feel like sometimes you have to be real with yourself. You have to be realistic with what you're doing, what your projections are, and then how you're going to accomplish it. Sometimes you may have goals and plans to say, you know what, I want to grow from here to here in 6 months. Yeah. You start tweaking the business around and say, maybe I add that one person in, maybe I push more money into marketing. It's like a puzzle. You're trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Yeah. There's going to be times where you're going to fail very, very big. That's just part of the game. Like, you just have to get that out of the way and say, you know what? Oh, I don't want to fail my business. You're going to fail. Just understand that and accept it for what it is. But what I would say is the quicker you fail and the quicker you can recover from it, the more opportunities you have to actually grow the business. Yeah. It's just to learn the language. It's like you've got maybe 50 to 100,000 mistakes you have to make to become fluent.
Yeah.
Whether you do it in 1 year or whether you do it in 2 months, you have to make those 50 to 100,000 mistakes. And once you've done that, then you can say, okay, I've done that. I've got experience of doing that. I remember it was embarrassing having a conversation. I said the word this when I should have been that. You understand? I should have said like tea and I said dog or whatever it is. You understand? But once you've got over that and you're comfortable making like mistakes, then it's all game, man. It's honestly like a beautiful thing.
Yeah, when people think taking L's, it's like a loss. It's not. It's a learning curve.
It really is.
100% a learning curve.
It really is.
And you know, especially when it comes to business now, like you never, nothing's going to be perfect. That's the honesty. It's never going to be perfect. You have to go across a lot of things. You have to come up against a lot of things as well to really know what to do going forwards. Because again, even with the nature of my business, I've done a lot of mistakes. Like I've really focused on the wrong things. I've really invested in the wrong things. But going forwards now, as I'm older, I've really noticed that I need to make these mistakes to know what to do going forwards.
You have to.
You have to.
You have to. I think even as you were saying that, it reminded me of a time where I think we had an opportunity to invest in a particular project, right? And the sort of advice that was coming to us, you know what, you need to invest in this. Like if you do this, maybe in like 5 years, you make this sort of money back.
Yeah.
And this project was unrelated to our business. It was for a gym in China. And I was like, you know what, the numbers, they seem really, really good. They seem like really, really good. Like, I think I should invest. And for some reason, it just didn't work out. A couple of months later, we had COVID.
Yeah.
And everything was shut down. We couldn't train in China. We couldn't go out to restaurants. Like everybody was locked in their homes. And you had a pass to kind of go out, maybe buy a shopping, buy like medicine and come back.
Yeah.
And so the point I'm making is that you're going to be able to be in situations where once you've overcome these mistakes and once you've made mistakes, because you're going to make mistakes, right? Once you've made these mistakes, you become wiser. And then you start thinking, okay, but if I'm going to make this sort of business, I'm going to create a business on top of the business I've got, do I have the bandwidth to manage both? If I don't, do I now need to bring people in? If I do, what do the numbers look like now? Does it now make sense to run a business when I've got another business? Like you have to start thinking that way, because you could run a business and put money into another business and run out of cash flow, like run out of cash.
That's the thing. And I know obviously when it comes to one business, people always tend to obviously expand into different things. It's like the same thing with myself. Like I've got 3 different brands specializing in different things. For yourself, is it just WeSourceProducts or have you got other projects?
So a good question. I think that's a good question. I think the motto that I found is if you're expanding or open up businesses that are similar to the main business, you can share the resources across.
Correct.
Right? So we specialize in supply chain, which is manufacturing products. So whether we manufacture t-shirts today or manufacture like tables or manufacture sort of automobile, whatever it is, we have the same team that we need to use the same process to manufacture it from a design perspective to an actual product.
Yeah.
So we can do that. When it now comes to different industries, I personally wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Unless I've got the bandwidth to do it, because you basically need to have a business that's up and running that doesn't really require to be in the business to then focus on something else.
Yeah.
Because I have to say, where the energy goes is where the money flows, right? So that's what I would suggest.
I understand you with that one. When it comes to obviously the nature of your business now, how's your pricing structure compared to your actual competitors? Because I know obviously when it comes to sourcing materials, obviously it might be more expensive in China than it is in Taiwan. So this is more for the people who are looking on creating their brands.
Okay.
Obviously they're going to want to know where to go to, and obviously you're the main person to go to when it comes to sourcing these products. So how is your prices compared to your competitors, like in the UK and everything like that?
So specifically for clothing, I would say we are relatively competitive.
Yeah.
The reason why I say this is because if you go to China and source products, let's say for example, you want to make a clothing line for, let's say, hoodies.
Yeah.
You want to order maybe 100 hoodies. The fact is, what they generally do, they will charge you a very cheap unit price for the hoodies.
Yeah.
What they won't do is they won't include the shipping, the taxes, the duties in there as well. So initially you start off with, oh, this is like £5 a unit.
Yeah.
Perfect. And then they slap you with a bill of £1,000 on your shipping and taxes. And so when you add it up, it's actually more expensive than coming to somebody like us, where we've basically priced everything in together. And all you need to do is pay a one-off fee. And then you get your products. There's no other hidden sort of prices. There's no sort of like additional taxes and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
We've got all of that covered. And so that's one element. The second element is you have to understand the industry, and I think businesses need to do their own research as well.
Yeah.
When we think about like China, we think about all of the big industries. You're looking at companies like you've got your Apples, you've got your Zara's, you've got all these big companies that manufacture there. So the quality that's coming out from there is A1, right? It's the best in the world. Now, when you compare that to Pakistan, Pakistan is still a growing country, and the industry is also growing as well.
Yeah.
So you're not going to be able to say, oh, I want the price of, say, Pakistan, but the quality of China from Pakistan.
Yeah.
It's got to be relative to the area. So
what you mean.
I think where I'm coming to is this. If you have a lot of money to spend, let's say, for example, you're doing a couple thousand units,
Yeah.
China would be the best place to go to.
Yeah.
Outside of China, there's also other areas as well. You've got your Turkeys, you've got your Portugals, you've got your Vietnams, you've got whatever, Bangladesh. That's fine. If you're not at that level, just at this point in time, then what I would suggest is go to Pakistan. Pakistan, you can start with very, very small quantities. You're probably looking at 50, 100 pieces.
Yeah.
And then you can start from there. You can grow the business. And then once you grow the business, you can now say, okay, I've got to a platform where Pakistan has served me well, or this particular country served me well. Let me go somewhere else and let's develop and let's grow from that. And then you can start thinking of other sort of countries that may be in line with the brand and the vision that you have for your company. So to answer the question, long-winded way, China's great, prices are good. Pakistan is great, prices are good.
Yeah.
But the price that we provide are competitive, if not better than those prices or those countries that I've mentioned.
Two things there what I definitely have to highlight. What you just said there really resonated with me when you spoke about the ordering obviously from factories. They'll tell you the unit price, then you get a bill of 1,000. I actually have experience with that.
Really?
Yeah. Oh my Jesus. That was, I think this is probably like around good 5 years ago. So the first product I ordered, pretty much, I didn't know that about freights, because I know you can obviously get delivered through different freights. And they told me the unit price, it was like $2, like $2 or something like that for a unit. And when the invoice came to me now, I think when it got to England, I'm thinking, oh yeah, come straight to my house. Yeah, fine. I got a message from, I think it was from DDP or something like that. Oh, we have your inventory. You have to pay like £2,000. I'm like, £2,000 for what? Understanding. And people, honestly, you will really come up against this if people do not give you the full information. But again, if you source with them, like WeSourceProducts, they will give you the full package price, so you will know things. Because I face this problem of ordering products online, and they keep out all these miscellaneous fees. So when it gets to the UK, I'm paying more money, and it is an absolute headache. So if you do want to start your brand, I advise you go through him, most definitely, because they know what they're doing and they will give you the proper prices, 100%.
Let me just add on to that. I think like one of the benefits that we bring is we have an establishment, a warehouse plus showroom in the UK.
Yeah.
So for brands that are based in the UK, they can do that. We also have a team that also facilitates brands that are outside the country as well. And they can have a virtual tour of our factory. And so I think what we're bringing to people that I think some other companies may not be able to bring is the fact that we speak the same language. That's number one.
Yeah,
right?
that could be a big issue. Like again, definitely.
It is like when you're doing business overseas, it is a number one issue, which is I've got my ideologies, they have their ideologies. Is it syncing together?
Yeah.
And most of the time, it doesn't sync. So that's the first part. The second part is we have, obviously, we're from the UK.
Yeah.
So we have an understanding of what things happen in the West. So whether you're based in Australia or Canada or, America, we kind of have and share similar traits in terms of values and in terms of how we conduct business. And so that's another benefit. In the East, and when I'm referring to East, I'm talking about East Asia.
Yeah.
Things are very different. Mindset is very different. And it's not to say that it's wrong. It's just different ways of doing business.
Yeah.
And so as someone coming into the industry, you don't want to be dealing with language barriers. You don't want to be dealing with time zone differences. No. You don't want to be dealing with like different expectations. You asked for this, you asked for a t-shirt and they print a T like on your t-shirt. Like you didn't ask for that. So the benefit of coming to us is simply we understand the concerns that you're going to have. We've been there before. We have a team in various countries that are dedicated to working with the factories.
Yeah.
Or even if they're from working with us directly, they will obviously execute that. And we know what it takes to make products. And so sometimes I kind of feel like we get people that come to us say, oh yeah, I spent like £2,000 or £5,000, £10,000 with this factory because they told me it was this. I said, well, we could have done it for you for a different price drop that would have benefit your business, and you wouldn't have all the stress. But because you assume that this is the best place to go, you've gone there, you've been burnt, you've now spent the money, and now you're looking to do this whole thing again. And so what I would say is for brands, especially if you're starting out or if you're established, like at least have a conversation with us first. Yeah. It doesn't cost you anything to have a conversation with us. Let's understand what it is you want, what it is you need, and we can tell you if it's viable. Like I've lived in China for many years. I speak the language. Like we travel out all the time to these places, so we know and have a very good idea as to how things happen, how things operate. Yeah. Versus other people who may tell you something just to benefit. And so that's what I would suggest. I think that one of the benefits is that we're always there. We go back and forth. We have a team there, but more importantly, we have a passion to bringing products to life, and that's something that I work day in and day out to kind of do for brands. So
there you go.
Just give us a bell, man. Just let us know. We'll sort you out.
I like that. I like the fact that you really do care about your customers. I like the fact that you have that real hidden passion behind the actual business as well. It's not just take people's money and just do whatever. You really are thinking about it. So guys, if you are really looking to start your brands, you want to source your materials, again, if you do it overseas, like in India or in China, language barriers is going to be a real serious issue. Because again, they might not understand what you want. But again, if you source it here in the UK with phenomenal people like this, who own these amazing companies, life will be a lot easier for you. But today has been absolutely outstanding speaking to you, Samuel.
Likewise, man. It's been good. Thank you for inviting me, honestly.
Definitely having you on the show. I know, I can already tell they already love you.
I hope so. I hope I haven't scared anybody. But honestly, like creating a business is beautiful. It's going to require your blood, sweat, and tears, but it's beautiful, especially if you're passionate about what you do. Yeah. You're going to work and figure out some areas where you can kind of grow the business. You see weak points. You see opportunities to expand. It's amazing. You can bring people in and you can help people as well on the way. See what you just said there, expansion, that's always key. And again, in life, you should always want to do better. Absolutely. You never want to stay at the same rate, always want to do better. But again, today, again, like I said, it was an outstanding show. Before we finish, I just want you to please give the audience some business advice. And I'm talking about the Gen Z. I'm not talking about the older one. The Gen Z, give them good business advice. Drop it on them. What would you say? What I would say is, information is accessible. Woo! Powerful. We have the opportunity of learning things on social media, on YouTube, Google. Like the world is transparent. And so what I would suggest is, if you're thinking of creating a business, look at businesses that have done something in terms of growing the business and making it work. And then all you need to do is figure out how do you make yours slightly different and make it grow. And that's essentially what it is. And so go out there, have a look at information, like be like students and just learn as much as you can. Honestly, I wish I did it before. Go out there and learn as much as you can, and then literally just start a business and go from there. Guys, that advice right there, that's what we call powerful. And that comes from someone who knows what they're talking about. But today we're going to wrap it up. Again, it's been a phenomenal show. Thank you for coming on today. Thank you for inviting me. 100%. Again, when it comes to Samuel's links, it'll be in the description below for his websites, all of his social media. Like I said before, if you want to start your brand, he is the go-to person to go to. But again, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on the next episode, okay? See you later.